welcome to another episode of Connections. Today we're very excited to learn more about the talented pianist, Stefania Passamonte.
Hi,
Hi.
Stefania.
Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to see you again. Tell us a little bit about how your day is going so far over there in London.
Hi, it's going. We had some snow a couple of days ago, and that was very exciting. But now we're back to our usual clear, cloudy.
Lots of rain
But
down there.
a lot of rain. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was raining all yesterday, so we're lucky to have a bit of a blue sky right now.
Yeah.
But that makes me appreciate very much the sun whenever it's shining. I coming from Italy, that's something that you get normally, and then here whenever the sun is shining, everyone is so happy, and you go out and you enjoy the parks. It's really special.
So how long, because you came over for school, right? I think you studied at the Royal Academy of Music. When did you actually come to London?
In 2002.
Okay.
September 2002, and so I've been there since. Really, I thought I would come just for a year postgraduate, and then I thought, okay, let's do 2 years, and then I stayed longer, and then I realized, from here I could go anywhere. So I studied for a year in Paris, and I would just take the Eurostar and go there every other week. And that was fabulous because it would be dark and gray in London, and then arrive in Paris and be nice and sunny.
Beautiful.
And I would be shopping with the best goodies from France. I was living with French singers at the time, French baritone soprano and a bass. It was absolutely lovely. So they would give me the shopping list, and I would come back with camembert and champagne and Chanel perfume. It was a dreamy time.
So you speak quite a few languages then, because you speak Italian, English, French, yes?
I speak French almost as Italian, and I speak Spanish as well.
Oh, nice. So do you find that there's some similarities between them because they're all kind of romantic languages? And
well, French is not very similar to Italian, I would say. Some words, they are similar, like in English as well, that they come from the Latin, so that might help, and Spanish too. But then the problem is, so I was at Royal Academy of Music, and there were no Italians, and there was just one friend of mine who's half Italian, half Spanish, and there was a big group of Spanish musicians there. So I would be in the middle of this group of Spanish-speaking musicians, and I had to fast learn that it wasn't the same. So a lot of words, they are the famous fake friends, right? The false friends, and yes, so a lot of funny things. Once I remember I was in Spain, and I was interviewed by the Spanish television. And I thought my Spanish was good enough, and instead they couldn't understand me. So luckily, I had a Spanish friend, super pianist, who was studying at the Italian Lyceum in Madrid. I don't know how. So he spoke perfect Italian, and Pedro Casals. And so he passed. He had to translate. So yeah, kind of Spanish.
I feel you. My mom is actually Spanish, and then I took Italian, so I kind of mixed them into a weird. Neither person can understand what I'm saying.
But there is one thing, they want to understand you. So anyway, they do the effort. Yes. So at least there is that.
100%. And it seems like most places actually do speak English wherever you go. You come trying to speak your best Italian, and the Italians are speaking better English than I'm doing Italian. So.
Yes, it is. I didn't find that when I went to Germany, though.
Okay.
So in Germany, it wasn't that simple.
Their language is, it's. I like German, though. It's very harsh, and you get to really speak it out.
I try learning it as well. I learned wollen Sie come mit mir. It means, would you like to come with me? So I was trying to translate useful phrase, but then my friends were laughing at me, saying, that is a bit equivocal. Doesn't send the right message. I was like,
So that's why it's good to have friends, right? They'll point us around the shows, right?
Oh yeah. But when I was invited to apply for Juilliard, I was invited for the last stage of this artist diploma. And I had a friend from Germany who asked this pianist in New York to host me while I was doing the audition. And there was another friend from Germany. And so they took the day out and they brought me all around New York in just one day. It was phenomenal. It was the most, generous encounter I've ever seen. It was absolutely beautiful. The flatmate from the pianist, so it was an American pianist, Julie Maley, if I still remember her name. I made a dinner to say thanks for hosting me, for bringing me around in New York, for helping me, going around Juilliard. And I made lasagna, a proper Italian dinner. And there I discovered that the flatmate left the room for me so that I had somewhere to sleep. So she never met me. So I was a friend of a friend of a friend and a friend from London, and people were just okay. So I made this dinner for the flatmate that I met after with the boyfriend, and the boyfriend was so funny, saying, you Italians, you have something like our pizza. So
Something
so the day after I was supposed to leave, and Julie, she had an exam, but she got the time to make me my very first American pancakes.
Aww.
So she was saying thanks to me. I was like, no, really, but it was just thank you. So it was just beautiful, very magical.
The musical community is so welcoming and wonderful. Yes. So let's go all the way back. So when you were growing up in Italy, are your other family members musical? Is that what got you into playing piano?
See, my dad is a musician.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and he plays all the instruments really. And so he plays the piano, he plays the saxophone, he plays the cello, the violin, so he plays them all. And so he says, you concentrate on one instrument, and then when you are really good at it, then maybe you can learn other instruments. And then I just felt so passionate about piano that I just wanted to be a concert pianist.
And so did he give you your first lessons, or did you go to someone?
He did. When I was 6 years old for my birthday, because I've been asking and pretending to play concerts with, I would make with the boxes the shape of a grand piano and practice while he was doing rehearsal with this orchestra. And so when I was 6, finally he allowed me to start to learn. And then every day I would have a lesson. I was thinking, oh, what did I went? What did I go through?
So did you progress pretty quickly? Like, was it evident right from the start that there was a talent there?
At 7, I was already at the conservatoire. Normally the age to start the conservatoire is 14. So at 7, I was admitted, and I finished very early. So
that's incredible. So what was that like, being the little one among all these teenagers?
I have to say it was very special. They were treating me like a little doll. So they were all cuddling me, and being very sweet. I was like the tiny little sister. And but at the same time, I was learning how to, because I was very good and I was even better than them with solfège and with some theoretical things. So I was treated equal when we were talking about music. So that was very special. So with my schoolmate, thinking about, I have a daughter, she's 6 years old, and I can see her in the class. So I remember I would speak with my friends at school in a way, and then with the guys at the conservatory in a different way. So I was already a child by grown up. It was interesting.
So with piano, I know with voice it's very dependent on the instrument you have, but with piano, how do you decide which kind of repertoire you're specialize in? Is it kind of you just do everything and then you find what suits you best, or what's the process there?
Well, yes, the idea is that you're supposed to try everything first and then you learn. But in reality, I always had a special talent for Chopin. So since the beginning, one of the first, so you get easy pieces from Bach, easy pieces from Debussy, from Chopin, and Chopin was just so natural to me. So, and that was the problem, because then my teacher wouldn't give me Chopin. He would say, that's too easy for you, so you learn everything else. So as soon as I finished with the conservatoire, I just immersed myself in Chopin. I have albums full of Chopin, dedicated just to him, or comparison with Chopin. And so I would say Chopin is my main composer. And then on that, there is also all the major, I'm a romantic virtuoso pianist, and so I love anything that is romantic and virtuoso. And Beethoven can be very passionate and very romantic and very virtuoso at the same time. Same with Mozart. There are some pieces that are absolutely gorgeous, and then the same with Rachmaninoff, of course, Scriabin, Debussy. The way I play, there is something that is very, I think, unique of my way of interpreting the pieces, and normally is taken from the composer's life and putting him back to perspective, and the fact that all these composers had incredible lives, very romantic lives, and is not romanticized, it's not made romantic. They were actually like that. Even Bach, there are some pieces that are absolutely to die for. And so I don't specialize in Bach because there is a lot that is also very intellectual, sometimes a bit too mathematical. But then there are some other pieces that are like divine, coming down from the sky. And there you think, Bach wasn't just a super genius. He had a family with 24 kids, and
I know.
so definitely his life wasn't just about writing music. He enjoyed life. And I was interviewing one of my future professor at the London Performing Academy of Music. She's an artist called Petra Archukova, and she was telling me this anecdote that Bach ended up in prison. He was sent to jail because he had a fight with the priest from the cathedral where he was working. They didn't agree on something, and so Bach had to do the improvisation during the mass, and he went on for forever and ever, and he wasn't stopping, and so the priest got angry, and they went really to fight. So can you imagine to be in jail? You've been a robber or something, and next to you you have all Almighty Johann Sebastian Bach with the black eye from the priest.
It's crazy.
So, I know, but that's what you need to put back, into the context of the music that you're playing, into the history, to make people understand and relate as well to the music that they're listening to. So that's my goal with my music.
So when you were finished with the conservatoire, did you go straight to, because I guess your regular studies, you were still in school. So how did that go? Did you continue like competitions, or did you go on to university?
I was doing both. So when I finished the conservatoire, I finished very early. So I did a concert academy before coming to Royal Academy. So it was a concert academy where you do basically a master, but it was a long training program for doing competition, concerts, etc. So I did 5 years of that. At Santa Cecilia in Portogruaro, and at the same time I was studying law at university. So
wow.
Well, the good is that I've always done a full-time school and a conservatoire at the same time. So when I finished a full-time school with the high school and everything, I had all the time I wanted in my hands. So to study is something that I loved on books. It was really no effort for me. So I managed to do that.
Wait, so you were doing a music master's and a law degree, and that wasn't any effort? You're crazy.
No, I was also writing for a newspaper because I had enough time. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to go to concert for free. And so I started sending in some review from concert that I would go and see, right? And so I was sending them in like every week to the newspapers, the major newspaper from my city, from Modena. And one day they called me and they says, stop it, please. Because we already have our music critics. We're not going to give you the job as a music critic. But I say, but we like the way you write. So why don't you come over and we test you with the first, news to write for. And that was about politics. And it was a huge scandal. And it ended up in the first page of the newspaper.
Wow.
So first article, first page, and then since then I was writing about all these things. And what they loved it was the fact that I wasn't afraid of writing the truth. I wasn't afraid. So I went to a political meeting and I had the opposition party coming to me say, "Oh, so you're the new press, you're the new person from the newspapers." Like, yes. And they were saying, I hope you're going to write about these. And the other person was like, "Well, I saw you spoke with him. I hope you're going to write about that." And to both of them, I says, "You know what? I'm going to write what I heard with my eyes.
Yeah.
I'm not writing what you want me to write." And there I realized the power of the newspapers, of the media, of the journalism. And I respect so much the journalists for the work that they do. Is so important. So that was a fantastic school as well.
That's crazy. I'd love to have half your energy.
When I came to London, I had nothing else to do but to play. I was like, well, come on. And so I ended up having the music academy, the London Piano Masters, and then the record label. I ended up having that one too. That was a funny story. I had a friend who had a record label for jazz, and he wanted to expand and have the division for the classical. And so he put me in charge of finding the artists, signing new artists, and we started, really releasing my very first album that I recorded soon after I finished my studies, really. So it was a super program. And while the CD was being printed, my friend says, "Well, you know what, I got too much going on. I can't really do that." So I had to do it. So I had to set up the company, set up the record label, and then a few years later, I now sit with the classical record label, the majors for the Brits Awards here. I've been a member of the Recording Academy for 10 years for the Grammys. So that's been another adventure.
So are you someone that really needs to like study it first, or do you just kind of go in and you learn as you're doing it because it needs to get done, so you're doing it?
Well, with the companies that I have right now, I have to say my degree in law helped a lot.
Okay.
And my mom is an accountant, so I started doing concerts and touring when I was already 14. So I already knew how to keep the receipt from the hotel, from the restaurants. So I knew how to do some accountancy. So these are all experience in life that are very useful for today as a performer. And that's why in the end I decided, I have this school is called London Piano Masters, doing master classes and teaching students from all around the world. And many wanted to come and study with us during the year as a conservatoire. And I thought, why not? Let's make a conservatoire that is as good as Royal Academy, Royal College, or Juilliard in New York, but that on top of that offers all the skills that I found useful in my career and that as well. I mean, you are a wonderful performer, but you are also now the editor of a magazine. So all these things, they are very important to make musicians understand better the inside of the music industry and then work with it and know where to go. Because if we don't work together, really, then the classical music is doomed to be stuck where it is right now.
Yeah.
So in the conservatoire that I founded, the London Performing Academy of Music, there will be supportive courses in music business, in music law, in music management, in music journalism, to know how to write for a magazine or for a newspaper, and any other skill that is important for any aspect of the music industry in all direction at 360 degrees, we say in Italian.
Wow. And did it just open, or it's just about to open?
Just opened, so we just launched it this week, and it's gonna be online because we are in lockdown, and so we're gonna be for the first year online. We have an incredible platform where you can play at the same time. So instead of Zoom or Skype or FaceTime, whatever, those are developed for voice conversation. Instead, this is a platform developed specifically for classical music. So you have the full range stereo audio of the sound, even just with the tablet or with the phone. So you don't even need to buy a microphone or extra devices. And it allows to play up to 8 people. It's just been upgraded.
Wow.
8 people at the same time. We tested last summer with the first masterclass I did with the London Piano Masters, and I had a professor in Japan teaching a student in Abu Dhabi, and a professor in Los Angeles teaching a student in Oxford. So there is really this offered us also the opportunity to reach out to professors, that incredible artists that they would be very busy touring, and instead they can now teach from wherever they are. So even when we will be able to open the campus, maybe September, maybe next year, who knows? It all depends from how it goes, because there is these talks as well that they might not allow international traveling in the UK for a while. So this way, instead, we are really able to reach out to anyone from anywhere around the world, also without the cost of coming to live to London, because as well, you know, the cost of relocating in a different city, if not in a different continent, is huge. So that really is gonna help us to connect and to expand our vision of the future of the classical music further.
That's incredible, especially you saying your software, because I mean, I'm sure you've seen those videos of people that try to practice over Zoom, and it's awful.
No, it's basically impossible, because it's not devised for these.
Yeah, exactly.
You have the noise reduction, you have all these extra things that allow us to have a conversation. But in music, as you know, we need to have the full range without distortion of a grand piano or of an opera singer, for example. And any professor that tried the platform was so blown away.
Wow.
And thinking of just being visiting professors, they said, you know, with this technology, actually, we can be a regular professor. So there would be the opportunity to study with incredible artists that you would have never thought you would be able to reach. So.
And who are some of the teachers that you have kind of on your full-time staff?
We have more than 140 professors.
Wow.
And I wouldn't nominate anyone specifically, because they're all incredible. I would recommend everyone to go and visit the website. Is lpmam.com, so lpmam.com, and it's for London Performing Academy of Music. What is incredible is the very first, most diverse faculty in any conservatoire, and we have artists for opera, for example, specifically, that are regularly opening the season at the Metropolitan or at the Royal Opera House. So we have some legendary artists, really. And for the classical as well, it's gonna be for the instrumentalists. We have the first parts of the Philharmonic Orchestra, of the Los Angeles Opera Orchestra. We have incredible names and soloists, pianists as well. And the list is actually growing. We have some other incredible guest star professors that are gonna give master classes for us. And, you know, names that I can't wait to publish on the website, because they're gonna be superlative, really. But it's really giving you this touch with what is really out there today. So you have professors that are all active performers. They are not just academics, but they're actually in touch with what is requested in the concert hall. We have super agents from the major agencies, from the major labels as well, that they're going to teach the music business. So they're going to help you learning how to create yourself as an artist, you know, the image of yourself as an artist, focus on what is your unique selling point that will distinguish from the many other pianists, singers that are out there, and help you really start a new career that will be successful. And so we'll have opera coaching as well. I mean, music business dedicated to opera singers, or dedicated to jazz and contemporary music. And above all, we will have the very first department of crossover. I mean, Natasha interviewed you on my radio program, and I was saying you were one of the people that inspired me really in creating a proper department. This is something that has never been done before, and that's something that is gonna really help the musicians, both from the classical and from the contemporary jazz, commercial music, and also people that they just want to be crossover, for example, to be able to have all the tools and all the knowledge that will help them create a unique, a new way of being crossover. Because at the moment there is this desire, I can see it also with the people that I interview on my radio program, to create something new, to cross over to a wider audience, to bring a classical music in a different way, and vice versa. And but there is not enough structure and possibilities to learn and to be helped as well. So I met some people that they had very good ideas on creating something new, but then this new idea couldn't be developed because they didn't have the compositional skill, for example, or the historical skill. And so they were creating maybe 2, 3, 4 songs that they were all very similar to the very first one. So if the first one was a good idea, the second and the third was not anymore original, you see. So that's what we're going to work on. We have fantastic composers. They won the Grammys, they won the Oscars, they won the Brits, so very famous musicians that they're going to be able to help and show what has been done and what could be done on the talent specifically of the student.
That's amazing. So we'll have on the screen that website. And how is it that people can register? Is it for individual classes, or do they register for entire semester at a time?
So at the moment, because we're online, we're actually allowing people to enroll for the full academic year at any time. So what they do, because it's a conservatory, they will have to do an audition. And the audition is done through video. So they will have to record something specifically for the instrument that they want to apply for. And then the professors and the head of department, they will watch the video and they will say, wow, this student has a great potential and could be starting working with this professor or that professor. So for the full academic year will be structured as the conservatoire, so that they have the classes in the main instrument and then all the supportive courses that are, depending on the year that they are in, all included. And instead, students from other conservatoires might want to have lessons in music business or in music production or in music journalism or broadcasting that they cannot get from their conservatoire, so they can study with us with no problem online by enrolling just for that specific course. Also, we have the freedom for the students to enroll both for accredited courses or non-accredited courses. So if you are applying, you are successful and you get in and you want to just do a one course, you could be studying just for a term. So a term is 11 lessons and can start anytime. From September, it will be only either September or January or April, that is the beginning of the academic terms. But at this very moment, they can start anytime for the one-to-one individual lessons. So they enroll for a trimester is called, for a term. And this course, if it's credited, can be discounted from the full academic year. So let's say then September starts the full academic year. They don't have to study the module for the first term because they already did that, and they just need 2 more terms to complete the academic year.
That's incredible. So guys, definitely, I mean, this is, like you're saying, the first of the kind for classical crossover. So definitely check this out. And let's talk a little bit more about you as a performer, because you mentioned that from the young age of 14, you were already doing tours and all this. So tell us a little bit about, that you're performing.
Well, it was very special. I remember I would go back to school and my friends would say, so where have you been today? It's like, well, I've been in Milan, I've been down in, Verona, I've been outside in France performing. And they found that very glamorous. In reality, I really knew it was a job. I knew my dad was a musician, so I knew the job from him. So I really took it as a job. I would go perform and then come back. So it was very simple. But it was exciting. I loved traveling a lot, and I loved meeting new people and being able to give my version of my music, of my repertoire, and there is this way some people thinks that classical music is all the same. It's not. So everyone plays, yes, piano forte, crescendo, diminuendo, depending on the piece, but then they add their own twist to it. That it's their own interpretation. Could be a philological interpretation or could be a personal interpretation. So I always had a very strong view on my way of playing, and that's something that really always came across, even in competition or in exams. They always said I had a very original take, and that what made me push me to go forward. I'm sure we all believe we have. Actually, it was my teacher as well at Royal Academy of Music. Once I did an exam and I didn't take distinction in this exam, and I wasn't happy. So I went to my teacher and I says, look, to the head of department, and says, look, if you think I'm not the best, it's not point I stay here. I go back and I become a lawyer, a journalist, whatever. I can change a job. But I'm here because I want to be the best of the best. So I'm doing my effort. So let me know. And if I don't have what it takes, because it could be, you have a talent but it stops at a certain point. Let me know and I'll do and become the best in something else. And the teacher says, well, you have a talent that some other artists don't even have in their little fingers. And when you have that much talent, you have a responsibility. And so you have to take this talent and use it properly. And so just keep going and never, ever doubt it. And that was the best advice I ever got. And so, so I knew I had the responsibility to bring out my view, my strong position on the music. And that's something that I can see also with my students, and they all love it. They all get passionate and they all say, oh, I didn't know Bach could be this wonderful, or Beethoven, or so it's not just about the notes, it's about the magic that comes out of it, no?
Absolutely. So that you have that very unique approach of really getting into the lives of the composers. I know something you did was the album or the single on Clara Schumann.
Clara Schumann, yes.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about her story and why that connected with you.
That was a very crazy story, when someone is calling you to do this. So I had a friend of a friend, an actress, and she can play the piano, as Elena Mazzon. She can play the piano, and she wanted to write something where she could showcase her talent, not just as an actress, but also as a pianist. And not that she's a concert pianist, but she's someone that if you have to play the part of Clara Schumann in a movie, she doesn't need a double piano
Right.
to show the hands. She can do that. And so she started writing on it, and she asked me questions. She asked me to choose the music. She was choosing some music and says, this looks better. And so I had to go into that. In the end, I became the music director. So I really gave a direction on the music that was chosen, depending also on what she was writing. So she did a long research, 2 years, from all the letters, the biographies. So she really went deep into that. And funny enough, I just had my baby. And so I was in a moment where I was struggling as a concert artist to be back touring, and I had to go back performing Rachmaninoff when my baby was just 4 months old. And I was lucky enough, she decided she didn't want the breast anymore because I was breastfeeding. And so I ended up breastfeeding a week before I had to go to Finland to perform Rachmaninoff. And it's really an uncomfortable situation when the milk comes in. I mean, if we have women listening to this, they know perfectly what I'm talking about. And it's something that you don't realize as a performer. I grew up with male teachers, and none of them prepare me to the fact of being one day a mother, a wife, and continuing performing. And then there is the problem of not having that many instrumental lead singers. You need a soprano, But pianist, you can then hire a man that doesn't have the problem of having children or breastfeeding. So in that moment, I realized all the weakness that we have and the strength as well, because the fact of having children is a miracle, really. It's the miracle of life that no one can experience but us when we do it, really. And so Clara Schumann in that moment was very near to my very own experience. And so with Elena, I was giving her the insight of what for sure Clara was feeling when she had to go back performing, having just the children or being pregnant. I was performing until I was 6 months pregnant. So all these things. So I was giving her all these insights. So she really grew very dear to me. And we didn't realize until we were writing it that then what she did was extraordinary. And she was really a feminist ante litteram, you know. She was someone who took the family on her own shoulder, a husband who ended up in the mental asylum, and she even had a younger lover. So playing her music, Elena just plays the beginning of the pieces. And then she was invited at the women's radio station to do an interview, and she had to record the audio of it. But she was not at the level to record the piano part. So then, from just being the music director, I actually had to practice and learn the music myself. And so when I did it, I tuned the page. So Clara Schumann starts with big passion. That we ended up using as the soundtrack of my radio program. And then you tune the page, and suddenly it's very relaxed. And that's clearly the moment it's telling you, yes, she's fighting with Brahms. We should, but we shouldn't. We can, but we cannot. And then the middle part says, no, actually they did it. And that's the famous cigarette after sex, if it was a movie from the 70s, you know, totally. But then it goes back in. And so when Elena, and so there is a twist. It's all written in the music, in the notes. And so if you listen to the piece entirely, then you understand and you know what's happening. And it's absolutely gorgeous because Clara, just before she died, she asked Brahms to destroy all the letters that they exchanged. So no one would have ever known that they actually were a couple. And but then the music doesn't lie. It's totally there. It's totally there. So when Elena started doing the play, people wanted more piano. And it's like, well, you know, she can't really play because Clara Schumann was a super virtuoso, so those are really difficult pieces. And so we decided to have a double bill. So we tested it the first time in Los Angeles. We went together to the Grammys. She came with me. We were competing with the audiobook of the Clara Schumann and with my just the piano part of it, the piano album. And so we performed it there, and people were absolutely blown away to know the music was used in the audiobook or the theater play to support the text. And instead, the other way around, I would speak and support with my voice, with my tail, actually, the insight of the music, and then perform it. And people understood it in a way that they never thought they could. And so we had also a mixed audience of people from theater that they never went to classical concerts. And they were like, I can't believe it's so interesting and so beautiful. And so it was an hour with no interval, and you know, an hour of music and talking is quite intense, and it just flew away. And we did the same in Germany for the Schumann House, and the people there were like, "Oh my gosh, we're gonna follow you everywhere if you play Japan, if you play in America." So Clara is a special composer now for me.
And from that is what also came your show, right?
Yes, so we were invited. So the funny thing is, so I was working with Elena, talking about a mother. So I was going to New York. It was when we had I think it was the 60th anniversary of the Grammys, and my parents were supposed to come to London and take care of my baby. She was just 2 years old, and my husband would have come with me. He found a super lovely hotel in New York, etc. And my mom got sick, so she couldn't travel. And so Sean had to stay in London with our daughter. And so I had an extra ticket for the Grammys. I had an extra space for the hotel and for the flight. And I told Elena, would you like to come with me? And that was on Friday. And we had to leave on a Monday. And
Not much notice there.
And then I was like, well, I'm not sure. Well, so she said, give me. And so the time we're speaking right now, she was thinking, having a million thoughts, and says, you know what? It happened once in a lifetime. And so, bam. But I don't have a dress. It's like I give you one of mine, we're the same size, bam. And so I gave her my concert. We went together. And when we went to New York, we had the funniest time ever. It was the 60th anniversary of the Grammys. The security was crazy. We were getting crazy emails that you couldn't take the limousine to the red carpet. You had to walk, or you had to stay to the Marriott Hotel, and they would have a bus to bring you there. And my husband, because he was supposed to have a sort of a honeymoon with me, so we had an hotel just around the block from the Staples Center. So me and Elena, we had to walk to the Grammys together, and we didn't realize that they kept the Staples Center tube station, the metro, open. So you had policemen with dogs and machine gun, checking everything. Us, me receiving email from the Recording Academy saying, be careful, you could be robbed of your tickets from terrorists that they want to come inside the Staples Station, the center, to disrupt the Grammys. And so me and Elena walking in our super long evening dress and stiletto heels, and people coming out. So in that moment, you had the big group of people coming out of the Staples Center, of the station, of the train station, saying, oh, you're going to the Grammys. Oh, but you can bring me with you. Oh, come on. So we were really surrounded by normal people. Luckily, nothing happened, but it was a bit scary, I have to say. So we arrived soon after at the interview at the women's radio station for Elena, and I told them this story, what happened like 3 days before we went to the radio. And I says, wow, we love this story. How about you have a program on classical music? And so I thought, let's dedicate it to Clara Schumann and to women, because it's a women's radio station. So you talk about women and everything that is around women as mothers, workers, business women, anything. And so that's what we do. And that's how I had you as well as one of our nominees and guests.
Yes, and you've had two of our other team members too, Joanna and Natasha.
Yes, I did. Wonderful. Natasha was finalist for the very first edition, and Joanna won the first edition of the Future Classical Women Awards.
Amazing. Your life is just so incredible. So how has it been? In a way, this lockdown has really slowed things down for you, and yet at the same time, you've been organizing your academy, so maybe not.
Well, not at all. Yes. So with the lockdown, we had to homeschool our daughter. My husband is working from home, so it's very, very difficult. And I had the launch. So we discovered this platform. So we were all excited in launching the conservatory in September. And then there was a new regulation due to the lockdown for the accreditation system, for everything. So we just launched it now. So for example, we wanted to have a press conference, but because right now when we wanted to have the press conference, they announced the national lockdown, and so that was impossible. So we recorded the video behind the closed doors, and even though we were behind closed door, one of our dean, Arfi Robinson, that is the dean of jazz and Rhythmos, he wasn't able to join us for the recording, so he recorded it from home. So a lot to do still. Now we're organizing all the professors to record their own videos, so the students can see them talking and explaining more about these incredible new courses that we're going to have. We're going to have lectures on the Black Lives Matters, on classical contemporary African music, on Indian contemporary classical music. We have so many new things. It's going to be the home of the classical music of the 21st century, so that include crossover, jazz, and anything else that is now classical. So I was watching this movie, Star Trek and Beyond, and they were attacking a spaceship, whatever. And the doctor, don't ask me the names, I know no names apart from the captain. But I kind of like it. I never liked this. Suddenly I just went into this completely. And so the doctor, they were listening to the Beastie Boys. And the doctor says, oh, this is classical music because it's set in the year 2300. And this is totally true. I mean, what has been contemporary music now has been over for more than 100 years already. So it's not contemporary anymore. It's classical as well. So that's what we're going to do. We're really giving a new shape and a new update to the classical music.
That is so exciting. So I know so many people are going to enjoy being part of your new academy. And then as a soloist, you're continuing with your show, and that's on what days? Is that Sunday, your show?
My radio program is every Monday. It's
okay.
live on Mondays at 10 a.m. Since the lockdown, instead of having an episode every week, we have it every other week. So the episodes are then repeated twice live at 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. London time, that is 3 p.m. I think East your time.
Yeah. I'll do the conversion and put it up there. Yeah.
Yes.
So what are you, in addition to that, I mean, you love being busy. So are you also working on different like soloist music that you want to be performing once you get out of restrictions?
Yes, I had an album that was supposed to come out, and I'm going to record it as soon as this is a little bit easy.
Yeah.
So it's going to be dedicated to Chopin and Schubert and the impromptu. So it's going to be a very special program with Liszt, the Dream of Love, and other things. So, I realized that until having my baby, I only played pieces that were passionate, dramatic, and, war pieces, because I was, I had to show to the world that I was strong, like the Transcendental Studies by Liszt, the Appassionata Sonata by Beethoven. And then I realized that I had a friend, she got married, Simona, and she asked me to perform something at her wedding, and I had nothing that was just pure love. And I thought, no, that's not. My daughter was falling asleep while I was practicing Rachmaninoff second piano concerto. That is beautiful, but it's also quite up and passionate. So that's why maybe she's so active. I should have learned worked on some Mozart, I don't know. And so so this album is gonna be just beautiful music, love music. It's gonna be very, very not relaxing. It's never relaxing, but inspiring, I think, for the beauty of the sky and the birds singing out of in the window instead of the fighting against the world to change it.
I love it. Well, thanks so much for speaking to me today, Stefania.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. I'm very happy to meet you finally after following you for so long.
It's so nice to be able to, like you said, you kindly had me on your program. It's great to have you on here. I know the audience is going to love it. And we'll have all your links up here. Everyone, please go check out her albums and also this wonderful new academy that has started.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stefania. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It was very fascinating to get to know more about Stefania, and we wish her all the best with her academy, especially this wonderful new classical crossover department that's so incredible. We hope you'll join us again here next week, and save the date because we have some wonderful virtual concerts coming for you. The first will be a collaboration called Classical Crossover Community. And then we'll have our very own series, The Sound of Crossover. And our goal with the first one, the Classical Crossover Community, is really to have you like all these wonderful artists' YouTube channels, ours as well, just because Facebook, I've mentioned a couple times, has been a little bit more difficult. So we're trying to get the community over to YouTube and to be able to appreciate all of these artists on here. And if you'd like to get behind the scenes, join us over on Patreon. We want to give a special shout out to our Patreons, Karen and Tuomo. Tuomo especially is one of our associate producers, and if you'd like to come be part of our journey, you can be credited. We have several different plans, and like I mentioned, Tuomo was an associate producer, so he'll get a special credit on all our interviews and also our concerts. So if you'd like that to be you, please go ahead and join us, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.